Howdy folks, and I hope you're all in the pipe 5x5 wherever you are in collecting land, and welcome back to the channel for another quarter scale statue unboxing and review. And today we are going to be taking a deep dive into Hollywood Collectible Group's 1/4 scale take on Michael Biehn as Corporal Dwayne Hicks from James Cameron's seminal science fiction sequel masterpiece Aliens. But before we dive in, I would like to send the usual LV426 size shout out to everyone who supported the channel. And please drop a like and hype on this video as it helps other people find Go Figure. And if you haven't already, be sure to mash that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're not missing any of the statue or action figure related news, reviews, previews and all that other good stuff that we've got coming up. Format slightly different for this one. As regulars to the channel will know, normally we would take a look at the art box and all the bits and pieces involved, but unfortunately no art box with this figure. So I thought I would save us a little bit of time, as I thought the last thing you want to see is an old man struggling with a huge box. The box itself is just a plain brown shipper, as you can see here, with the Hollywood Collectibles Group's information on the front, and that's pretty much it. Once you open that box up, unfortunately no art box, and I've got to say Mr. Go Figure was a little bit disappointed, because when you're buying a premium piece it's nice to get a decent art box, either for the display or just for storage purposes. It just gives it that premium feel, but unfortunately Hollywood Collectible Groups deemed it not necessary. So what we do get is, inside that brown shipper, is the polystyrene box, as you can see here, with the usual strapping on it. You remove that and what you're greeted with is the statue itself, and that's pretty much it. So without further ado, let's dive down onto the table and have a look at all the bits and pieces that come with your Corporal Hicks statue. Okay folks, so parts out and statue constructed. Before we dive into first impressions, I think I mentioned at the top there, this is my first foray into Hollywood Collectibles Groups. Now, they've been around a while and they produce all manner of statues and prop replicas from IPs like Terminator, Alien, Predator and that kind of thing. But this is my first foray into their statue world. Construction process, very straightforward. Pegging system, as you expect with modern statues. This facehugger pegs into this rather spectacular base. The arms peg into the shoulders, as does the head, obviously. The motion tracker over the shoulder there, that pegs in at the shoulder as well. So construction process is very simple and was hassle-free. But first impressions are very good indeed. I am loving this diorama display base. I think it looks spectacular with that facehugger on there and all this kind of alien goop and tendrils coming up the sides there. The proportions look on point to me. That colonial marine outfit looks screen accurate and very well done. The colors look right. There are a few reservations straight out of the box. but we'll touch on those as we go through the review. But overall, proportions, screen accuracy, and detailing looks very good indeed. But I think what we need to do is get up close and personal with everybody's favorite colonial marine, and for that we need to go handheld. Okay folks, so let's get up close and personal with Dwayne. Let's start with this base. Now, I do like this base. I like the concept of this base. I think what we're looking at here is somewhere between Hadley's Hope and the Atmosphere Processing Station on LV426. What you've got is this grilled section in the center here, and then you've got these alien tendrils running all the way around the side and up this wall at the back here. I do like the concept. I think it's a great one. The base itself, now I think all of this statue is polystone, bar a few bits and pieces on here. Don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% certain. I was torn between resin and polystone, but I'm going to go with polystone. But as I mentioned, yeah, this base section, hollow, which is great. It takes some of the heft out of it, so it's not going to put too much pressure on wherever you decide to display it. But yeah, underneath this base, take my word for it, I am not going to flip it over. You have got a sort of a plastic sticker type affair going on that's got the Aliens logo and the Hollywood Collectibles Group logo, and you've got 4 felt pad feet there to minimize slippage in the display. But yeah, let's talk about the base itself. Now, I'm going to get the elephant in the room out of the way straight away. This is just my opinion, but I bought this this particular piece as a companion piece to the Prime 1 Studio on Blitzway Ellen Ripley from Aliens, and I'm going to say from the get-go here, the sculpt and the paint applications aren't quite up to that HD standard that we get from Prime 1 and Blitzway. They're not bad by any stretch of the imagination, and yes, the price point is slightly lower on this particular piece, but yeah, there is a softness in here. What you've got are these tendrils coming up along the side. They're in this sort of sludgy brown colour. They've been given a high gloss paint application to give them that wet look, and they're reaching up and over and onto the grill section itself. The grill section, yeah, paint application's a little soft on there. There's a little bit of paint bleed going on, but the detail is picked out in these tendrils with black paint applications in the crevices and the nooks and crannies there, and that those tendrils are continued all the way around. And I will try and turn this thing with one hand, because if I put it on a turntable it would destroy it. And those tendrils lead all the way around to this this wall section at the back. Now, the wall section itself has been sculpted on the back at least to look like a sort of stone, almost concrete effect, and I think Hollywood have done a great job here. The texturing is really good. You've got these sort of what look like liquid stains running down the side, and you've got scratches and dinks and all manner of faults in the stone itself. Those tendrils are creeping up from the bottom there. There's shading where the tendrils are meeting the wall there to give it that depth. And that high gloss paint application, high gloss coating rather, to give it that wet look, is continued around the back there with the black paint applications picking out the detail. Those tendrils are continued up the side here, and along the top you've got what looks like, and I'm going to say this is maybe the alien goo, the xenomorph goo, or the blood has eaten through the wall perhaps. Not sure, but it looks good. And it runs all the way across the top of the broken wall itself. Once again, high gloss and those black paint applications for the detailing. Swing it round. Now the front of the wall, if the light in the camera is catching this, is done in a more metallic way. If I can get the camera right in here, you can see these metal bolts that have been picked out with the silver paint applications. That alien goo continues along the inside there and on the bottom of the wall itself. And overall, I think the concept of this base is absolutely great. Perhaps the actual the way it was done could have been a little bit more HD. I'm being polite there. It is soft in my opinion, but overall it definitely is a great concept, and from a distance looks very, very impressive. You also get the face hugger, as we mentioned before. This pegs directly into the base. There's just a little peg down there, if the camera's catching that. This upturned face hugger, and they've done a really cracking job here, I think. Because it's facing upwards, they've fully detailed the interior there, and it's suitably gruesome with those deep reds and browns in there, and that high gloss to give it that wet look. The digits have got nails on the end of them, have been picked out, which I'm not sure is 100% screen accurate. I don't remember nails on the end of digits on a face hugger, but it is what it is. We will flip this over, and the underside as well, painted very, very well. You've got multiple different sort of shades of tan, almost light brown going on there, and you've got some reddening on the digits of the knuckles there, which is nicely picked out, and those segmented areas are picked out as well with shading. So overall, yeah, a great little face hugger with nails. Let's take a look at Corporal Hicks himself, and we will start at the bottom as we always do. Let's spin him around so we can take a look at these boots. Now, screen accurate boots there, definitely very nicely sculpted in laces, sculpted in stitch work on there, and that green military flash, olive green military flash down the side. I would have perhaps liked to have seen a little bit more weathering on these boots. I think they're a bit too clean, but that's me. I think that they can be weathered up post-review. But overall, yeah, screen accuracy's there. Let's move up to these shin guards. Now, I think what Hollywood Collectibles Group have done really, really well here is captured that contrast between the colour of the camo of the pants themselves and the colour of the armour. Now you've got sort of 3 or 4 shades going on. You've got blacks, deep greens, tans, and dark browns going on in the camo on these shin pads. Sculpted in, obviously, but they look very, very good. And once again, you've got that silver dry brushing on the edges there to give it that worn look to where the metal is showing through from use. Clips on the back there, very nicely done. Moving up to the shin pads. I forgot to mention the shin pads. Very nice indeed. Now these are solid polystone, part of the sculpt. There's no movement in there at all. The camo pants themselves, very nicely done, sculpted in stitchwork there. The fall is nice. It's got that material look to it. You'll be forgiven for seeing this from a distance and thinking, yeah, those are material and this is mixed media. They're not. They're all part of the statue itself, but very nicely done, as is the paint application on that camo. Moving up to the main part of the body itself, the armor at the front here. Now, one piece at the front here, there's the chest section obviously, and then there's this section that comes down, all sculpted in as well. Once again, that camo is continued, that contrasting camo, and once again that silver dry brushing on the edges there. Well, it's not really dry brushing, I think it's actually proper silver paint application, wet paint application, just gives it that worn look. The belt itself, sculpted to look like canvas, very convincing, nicely done. Moving up the harness, you've got the grenades, red tipped, silver, good paint applications on there, and that chest armor itself, very, very well done. On the opposite side, you've got the knife that faces up in the sheath. That sheath is nice and shiny and painted to look like leather, and it works very well, and contrasts really well with the leather look of the harness that goes around the shoulders to hold the shotgun holster in place on his back. The chest armor itself is really, really nicely done. You've got that heart on the over his heart there, that big red heart with the padlock on there, which has been painted with sort of a gold, coppery gold, with silver highlights there, and the keys are hanging down as well. Overall, very, very impressive. Let's spin him around the back so we can take a look. As you continue on that belt section, you've got the packs on the belt, which have been sculpted in too. They look like material, and nicely painted and weathered as well. Around the back, you have got that shotgun holster. Now, this pegs into his back. It's pretty much same as all the other parts here. Pegs directly in. I'm going to see if I can take this out. Now, at first, I thought this shotgun holster was a little too big, but having gone back to the movie, it actually is pretty much accurate in proportions, and it's been sculpted really well to give it that material look, with that large stitch work in there and texturing on it as well. But when you take it off, you see the level of detailing on the back here as well, even down to where it says Lifer at the top of the belt there, which is covered up by this the holster itself when you've got it on, but it's a nice touch to know that that's underneath there. And once again, silver there to give it that worn look, and the colours absolutely on point. Let's take a look at his arms. Let's bring him round again. Let's start with this left arm. Now, over the shoulder, you have the motion tracker and the light at the top there. Now, I think, and don't quote me on this, I think that the strap here on the motion tracker over the left shoulder and the strap on the pulse rifle may very well be a plastic. It's definitely plastic here, where I think where the strap meets the pulse rifle at the front and the back, and I think that's just to give it a bit of flex. I could be wrong here, but I think that's a good idea, because these are the weak points. These are the points where if it is resin or polystone, this is where your breakages are going to happen. So if that is plastic, I think that's a great idea, just to give it that little bit of flex, that little bit of give, so it doesn't all end in tears. But the detailing on the motion tracker and screen accuracy is great. Proportions look right to me. That colouring's right. Once again, you've got those silver highlights on there to give it that worn look, and it leads up to what I believe is the power pack on the back there, and then the rigging for the light itself, all really nicely painted and really nicely detailed. Let's swing him back round. before we get to that head sculpt. Oh no, let's talk about the arms. We nearly missed the arms. Now, sculpting on these arms I think is very, very good. We all know that Mr. Biehn got suitably jacked for his role as Hicks, and that's reflected in this sculpt here. We've got vascularity there, the biceps and triceps are clearly visible. You've got multiple paint applications to give it that skin tone and texture. You've got a reddening at the elbow there. You've got hairs that are both sculpted and painted in that run down the forearms and the hands as well. You've got the PDT on the wrist there. Perhaps could do a little bit more detailing on there, perhaps a little bit soft there, but overall it's clearly recognizable and pretty well done. The hands themselves, proportions are great, and it's worth mentioning the actual pose here as well that they've gone for, and I will put a picture up at this point. This is a sort of, it is an instantly recognizable pose, and was featured in numerous promotional photos from the film itself, and is one of the most famous poses that I really do think the Hollywood Collectibles group were wise to go with this particular pose. But let's, thing that lets these hands down for me a little bit is these fingernails. Now I'm not sure whether the light's catching this, but they are a little bit too rose red for me. Yes, your fingernails are a slightly different colour, but I think the choice of paint colour here at least could have been a little bit better. They're a little bit too pinky for me, but overall the knuckles are well sculpted. You can see the vein work in there, and yeah, bar the nail polish, I think the hands are very, very good. The other arm, the right arm, holding the pulse rifle, and we'll take a quick look at these shoulder pads while we're here. Yeah, the shoulder pads are very, very well done. Same level of detailing as you see in the armor throughout. Once again, you've got the hairs on those arms, slight change in skin tone from the forearm to the bicep area, reddening on the elbow there, and then at the end of the wrist itself, you've got that wristband, that recognizable wristband that he wore in the film. The pulse rifle, yeah, on point as far as I can tell. Proportions are there, the detailing is right, the color is right. You've got 99 on that counter there, so that's a pulse rifle that's full and ready to rock. You've got silver paint applications on there, once again picking out the scrapes and the scratches, and overall proportionally really well done, and I'm liking the fall of that strap as well. So that's the arms. Let's move up to the all-important head sculpt. Now this is where things start to get a little bit interesting. Before we dive in on the head sculpt, there is one other thing I do need to mention. I'm going to pull back for this one, and it bemused me a little bit because straight out of the box, now the way this base is laid out, I would expect it to be front and center like that, with the wall flat at the back, and then this section facing forward. But if you do that in your display, what you're left with is Corporal Hicks looking off at a 90-degree angle. Now, I would have thought to get the best out of this particular piece, you want him almost facing straight on like this. But if you do that, then your base is at a bit of a jaunty angle. And yeah, it's interesting. I might have been inclined to actually position him slightly differently on this stand, so it was more flush and facing straight out. But that's just my personal taste. I don't think it's a deal breaker, but yeah, onto the all-important head sculpt. Let's bring this guy forward and get this head sculpt into shot. Now, I'm going to say straight away, yeah, there's issues here. There are. We'll talk about the helmet first before we get to the head sculpt. Helmet on point. Proportions are right, the colours are right, the battle damage is there, the camera on the side, all nailed on as far as I'm concerned, as is that section that hangs down at the back there, and you've got the microphone as well, which is great to see. But it's the head sculpt itself. Now, I'm going to say, I've looked at this a few times. This is brand new, it's literally just come through the door. And my initial impression here is it's not a bad head sculpt. I think the paint applications let it down a little bit. Now, Michael Biehn is perhaps not the easiest person to capture in any scale, and I think it is recognisable as Michael Biehn and as Hicks. However, there are some issues here. I think that some of that softness that we saw in the base there has been reflected in the head sculpt a little bit. But I think, for me personally, and these are only my first impressions, I think it's more the paint applications perhaps than the actual sculpt itself. They are a little on the basic side. As I mentioned before, we're not looking at something of Prime 1 Studios or Blitzway standard here. I think the paint applications let down a little bit. Those lips are way too pink and shiny, as are the fingernails. I think they've used the same paint on the fingernails, and you can see them here if I zip over to the pulse rifle. It looks to me like that's the same colour, and then they put a high gloss over the top of those lips, and that just doesn't work for me. Way too bright, way too wet. You've got the dimple in the chin there, that's right. I think in profile, I think it works better in profile than it does full on. Maybe that's why they put him at an angle, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's just missing something here. Yeah, there's something not quite right about this. The eyes are the right colour, but they're not perhaps as glassy as they could be. They've got that deep green that Michael Biehn's eyes are. The eyebrows themselves, they look a little bit simplistic in the paint applications there. There's no real hint. There is a slight hint of 5 o'clock shadow going on there, but I think we could probably benefit from a little bit more. I think overall it's a good head sculpt, but it's not brilliant. I think it's a combination of the sculpt and the paint applications. Just it loses something when you get up close with it. But there you have it, folks. That is Hollywood Collectibles Group take on Mr. Hicks himself, Corporal Dwayne Hicks, aka Michael Biehn, or Michael Biehn even. So I think what we need to do now is go in for a final verdict on this guy. Okay folks, so it's verdict time on Hollywood Collectibles Group's take on Corporal Dwayne Hicks from Aliens, aka Michael Biehn. Let's start with the good stuff. Proportions, absolutely on point, nailed on. Love the concept here, loving the pose, I think it's iconic. I like the concept of that base. I think it works really well with the dead face hugger, with the alien tendrils, with the semi-destroyed wall at the back there. I think the colours are right and nailed on. I'm loving the contrast between the camo in the camo pants and the contrasting colours in the armour there. The attention to detail in the harness area there, on the motion tracker, on the shotgun holster, all excellent. And the little touches, you know, the heart on the chest plate there with the lock on it, all great. Pulse rifle, nailed on, absolutely nailed on. And overall, I think a very impressive piece, but not without its niggles. I think the detailing in some areas is phenomenal, and then not so good in others. I love the fact that they've gone for they put the Marine number tattoo on the bicep there. I was worried that they might miss that out, but they haven't. So you've got the USC registration number on the bicep, and I'm loving the skin tones and textures in those arms. The downsides, we've mentioned before, there is a softness here. And that's continued not so much in the body of the statue itself or in the armor or anything like that. The main softness really is in the base and in the head sculpt. These tendrils, this whole base section, paint applications and sculpting is a little soft and not as HG as it could be. The major issue here, I've got to say, is that head sculpt. Now, when you light it right and you're a certain distance from it, I think it works very well. I've altered the lighting ever so slightly here. This is not the showcase. We will be having a showcase at the end, obviously, where we will play around with the lighting here. But I think if you do muck around with the lighting, it does impact quite dramatically that head sculpt. And for me, under this lighting, the likeness is there a lot more. But you get up close with that head sculpt, and it's not really the best I have ever seen. The paint applications are a little soft, odd choice in the colour of the lips and the gloss on the lips, and the same with the fingernails. There's some odd choices in there. There's some great stuff and some not so great stuff going on with this particular statue. I think it'll work really, really well with the Ripley piece. We'll see that at the end. However, it is not without its niggles, and that is going to impact the score for me. Now, scoring this thing, I was dreading this moment, but I am going to have to put a score on this out of 10. Yeah, I'm going to give this somewhere between a 6.5 and a 7. 6.5 seems a little unfair. I think 7 is probably a fair score for this. Yeah, 7 sounds about right and is sitting right with me. It is let down in certain areas, it is. It is not without its faults. However, on the plus side, I think it's a very, very good representation of Hicks in 1/4 scale. And I don't think, and correct me in the comment section below, I don't think we've seen another 1/4 scale Hicks. I could be wrong, but it sort of it will do until the real Hicks turns up, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's not without its issues, but I do like it. I can't say I am blown away by it, but I like it an awful lot, and I think 7 is a fair score. So there you have it, folks. That is a 7 out of 10 for Hollywood Collectibles Group take on Michael Biehn as Corporal Hicks from Aliens. What are your thoughts on this piece? I will be fascinated to hear your take. What's your take on HCG? What's your take on the movie? What's your take on this particular statue? Nothing is off menu, so please drop a comment in the comment section below. And I suppose all it remains for me to say is a massive thank you for watching, as always. Oh, what have we got coming up on the channel? Almost forgot. Well, there's plenty more in the 1/4 scale statue department. In the 1/6 scale, the action figure department, we've got stuff from InArt, Hot Toys, Susu Toys, Present Toys, Caustic Plastic, Iconic Studios, the list goes on. So as I mentioned at the top there, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're not missing anything. And I suppose all it remains for me to say is from myself, from the legend that is Corporal Dwayne Hicks, take care of yourselves. A massive thank you for watching, and until next time on the channel, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.